If I lost everything tomorrow, my routines, my rituals, my practices, even my awareness of my body, of my mind, and I had to rebuild my nervous system from the ground up, this is exactly how I do it. For context, my name's Dan. For the last decade, I've worked with leaders and founders operating at the highest level, helping them regulate, recalibrate, and expand their nervous system so success stops costing them their health, presence, or relationships. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 foundations I'd start with today, not as techniques, but as orientations. And if you stay to the end, you'll have a clear nervous system blueprint you can apply immediately, and one that restores the capacity to return to baseline without losing your edge. So if I was starting again today, I wouldn't make relaxation the focus. I'd make awareness the focus. What am I meaning by this? So awareness of the body without trying to change it, awareness of movement, walking, workouts without directing it, awareness of your breath, not controlling it, just noticing it, and awareness of space, space around you, space within you. And as the attention moves out, the mind's effort to relax and into what's already being experienced, something shifts. Awareness starts to expand, not by force, but by will. And as awareness expands, the nervous system naturally starts to soften. Yeah, relaxation becomes a byproduct and not the goal. And it becomes a whole heap more accessible to be able to then quickly soften and allow into a state of relaxation. Now, the next thing I'd focus on is baseline, not peak states, not breakthroughs, although these will be amplified by baseline. Your baseline is the internal place your nervous system returns to after a moment of activation. So when nothing is seemingly happening, you might not notice when this actually shifts off kilter because life keeps working. You're still effective, still decisive, still capable. It just costs more. And in my work with leaders and founders, what works is rebuilding or restoring the baseline through clean closure and not more intensity. So rather than trying to raise the baseline through over efforting, I'd remove what's quietly draining it. Unfinished conversations, unfinished emotional processing. Baseline doesn't rise through doing more. It rises when the system is given permission to complete what's already there after activation. At this point, I'd change the question entirely. Not how do I control my reactions, but how much can my system actually hold? Right? Control is a nervous system in effort. Capacity is a nervous system with space. You can feel the difference. One kind of calm only exists when nothing is happening. We're all great at that. The other stays available while something is happening. The storm is there, and yet you can still steer the ship. And in my work with leaders and founders, what works is training range, not restraint. Staying present in mildly uncomfortable conversations. This is huge. Slowing down the breath inside of pressure, not after it, although that's useful too. Letting the body learn that intensity doesn't equal danger. That's where leadership stops being reactive and starts being grounded. Now we're going to get tested with larger and larger tests as this stabilizes for us. But this is where the work lives. And if I were rebuilding from the ground up, this part would be a non-negotiable. When identity fuses with output, the nervous system never fully resets or recalibrates because rest feels like risk. You might recognize this as success fatigue. You've achieved what you set out to achieve. Sure, there's more goals, but something inside quietly asks, okay, who am I now if I'm not chasing? So, a useful approach here is separating worth from performance, allowing for time when nothing is produced, relationships where nothing needs to be proven, practices where nothing needs to improve or be done, or you don't need to be anywhere. This isn't losing ambition, it's removing and softening perceived threat. And when threat drops and softens, the nervous system settles. And so finally, I'd stop incessantly optimizing and I'd start integrating and allowing for micro and macro recalibrations. Optimizing adds more, and integration recalibration lets things land. Yeah, most people I work with have already done enough work to be well. It just hasn't been metabolized. And we need to, from time to time, come back into a recalibration. Don't need another insight or another tool. I'd slow the intake, fewer inputs, more digestion, letting insights settle into the body, letting the system reorganize itself, the psyche, the soma, the body, without being pushed into the next upgrade. This is how healthy longevity is actually built, where you live well for longer. If, as you were listening, something here felt familiar, not urgent, just true, there's a deeper body based process I guide leaders and founders through to restore their baseline and expand their capacity and integrate the success without the contraction. And so there's a link below where you can watch a short explainer about who this work is for and maybe who it's not so suitable for. If it feels aligned, you're welcome to apply. And we'll take it from there calmly without any pressure. And whether or not we work together, remember this: you didn't build this life to feel braced inside it. Restore the capacity to return to baseline. And if you're curious as to how habits actually become easier to stick to, and what's happening at the level of the brain when that's occurring and how you can actually make it that much easier for you to pick those habits up, be sure to watch the next video here where I explain and walk you through the step-by-step process. Together in deep rest, work, and play.